Good morning, Abe.
Morning, Carl.
I have to ask the obvious question. What was your low last night in Cedar Rapids?
Well, it's warmed up to a -9. So,
Wow, you've got a regular heat wave coming through there. We were at -20 last night. I just don't even want to know where we're going to go today.
yeah.
What I wanted to do on the call is congratulate you on such a great finish last year, and especially the strong Q4 with your PLM and IoT market segment performance.
Thanks, Carl. Well, long before hashtag work remote was a necessity and an unfortunate one, we've been working with companies to connect the way they design, manufacture, and service their products. And, as unfortunate this last year has been in many different ways, I think it's forced the hand with a lot of the companies that we've worked with to not have a decision on whether they take that next step and mature the way they do business, but force them to do that. So, we're definitely satisfied with our results in Q4. More so, we're extremely ecstatic with what it's done and the references and feedback we've got from the customers that we've worked with. And it's definitely, changed the way they do business in a positive way.
Well, it was a good year.
Yeah.
You've been involved with RoundTable for just over 5 years. How have you benefited from some of the RoundTable takeaways in your executive revenue leadership role at EAC?
Yeah, it's a good question, Carl. And I'm sure people, it's something that goes without saying is learning. One of the things that I think is probably the most valuable is not only learning from the mistakes you make, but also learning from mistakes that others make. I think there's this, and you referenced this well, Carl, there's this zone or cone of silence that we have in the roundtable.
Yes.
So you're willing to people are willing to let their guard down a little bit more than typical and talk about not only the good things, but probably more appropriately the bad things. And that's one of the things I continue to pull from the majority of the meetings is talking about what didn't work. One, so that, in case I'm going to try it, I don't. Two, so I can, sort of chalk that in the memory banks. And, so I think learning is one of those things that I continue to strive for, not just in general, but from the roundtable and being able to look forward to, how others are doing what they do, specifically in things like, and I'm sure everybody that is in charge of revenue, appropriate comp plans, what it motivates, but what also can you afford, right? Forecasting is challenging at best, and not only the data part of it, but also the psychology part of it. So, just a couple instances of, being able to learn from others on what's working and more importantly, what's not.
Well, based on your experience in Roundtable, what would you say to an executive today that's interested in learning more about it?
Yeah, there's probably a handful of things that I would point out, but if I had to pick one, and I think that's what you're asking me for, it's an additional peer group that, and I'll say this, growing up through industry, you tend to find a group of professionals that you lock with and you try to learn with. You try to, go to the well and get mentorship and get peer advice. And I'm not saying by any means that peer group that's related to where you work is becoming stale, but there's something fresh about being able to break out of it. I can say for the group that I am involved in with CRO, no one does exactly what I do, or no one works in that exact same industry or vertical. And for that, I think it's pretty refreshing. And it's also motivating that I've got this additional, resource is the best way to say it, to go not only energize, but, what I said earlier, to go check yourself on a learning perspective. The second thing, and I will throw in a second one, is the mentorship, and specifically what you've given me, Carl. I think that's a strong motivator to being a part of the CRO group. There's been many times that I have this one thing, and it may be simple in the eyes of most, but it's critical to me being able to take the next, I'll call strategic step and look as if I'm the leader that I want to be. And, having you in that in that instance has become pretty impactful. So thank you, Carl.
Well, thank you for the kind words, Abe. We really enjoy having you in Roundtable, and I want to wish you the best success this coming year, and we'll see you next week at Roundtable.
Yeah, excited. Thank you, Carl.
Take care.